Hello everybody. Welcome to the stream. I hope we're all doing well. I just sort of need to know that you guys can hear me before I do anything else. Yeah, welcome on in. Hope we're doing good. We've got some actual football to talk about. I know, it's absolutely wild that sometimes football fans will talk about football rather than the state of affairs at a football club, and I feel like in this specific situation it's probably quite important to talk about the football because tomorrow Leeds United face off against Manchester City in what I'm going to call probably the most ridiculously challenging game of football that could possibly pop up at this point in time. And this is for a few reasons. So, reason one that makes this an absolutely terrifying game of football that is not necessarily going to go particularly well is that we are on a bad run of form. That is undeniable. It's not really a question. We're in the relegation zone right now. We probably deserve to be in the relegation zone right now, and I personally don't see things improving in the immediate term. That's point number one. Point number two is Manchester City have also not been fantastic in the most recent matches. So if I have a quick look at FBref, and if I search for Man City, and we'll find out where we go from there and what their most recent results are. I know they've not been fantastic, but we'll find out. There we go. Holy hell. Right, okay. Okay, Manchester City, last two matches, they've lost. They're going to want to sort of do a little bit better. They're going to want to start rebuilding. They're going to want to get some more points on the board. And the way that they do that is with their next few matches. They've got us, they've got Fulham, they've got Sunderland. All of those three matches, Man City will look at and go, oh, okay, cool. We can win that with relative ease. And then you've got issue number three. And that is the fact that against Bayer Leverkusen, right? And this is the fun part. This is the crazy part. Against Bayer Leverkusen, 10 players were rested for Manchester City. 10. Which, to me, says one thing, and that is the fact that they have had an eye on beating Leeds United for a while now. The fact that they've gone, okay, match against Leverkusen in the Champions League, let's put that to one side. Because we can make a real mess of Leeds United this weekend. And I, for one, am a little bit scared that that will be the case. Now, having a look at their team, if you are someone that is relatively oblivious and you haven't watched much football and you haven't watched much of Manchester City, you might think, oh, cool, they've only got one real threat. Because if you look at their matches in the Premier League, they have one player that has scored more than one goal. Issue is, that's Erling Haaland. He's scored 14 so far in the Premier League. The rest of the goals are just sort of shared out. They've got, hold on, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. They've got 8 players that have won each, outside of Haaland, who personally himself has 14, which is a stupid amount of goals to score. The man's unbeatable. If you look across all competitions, Haaland's got himself 19, Foden's got himself a few more, Doku's got himself a few more, all that kind of stuff. But we all know that Haaland is the threat. That's not a question mark. But it's the fact that everyone's rested that scares me. And the fact that they've got an entire team that is just ready to go, okay, well, we had the week off. We've been preparing to play against Farker Ball all week long. Let's just stuff them. And I'll be honest, my opinion on what is going on at Leeds United will not change particularly after the match against Manchester City, because that, well, unless somehow we win 3-0 or something insane like that, but that is not going to happen. But if we get pumped, I will still have the same opinion, and that is that, let's be honest, Daniel Farker should probably not be in the job. Full honesty, my opinion here, the next 3 matches, I think we are not replacing him yet, because I think to put in a new manager and have them immediately face City, Chelsea, Liverpool would be madness. Maybe you give them Liverpool, because Liverpool are doing a little bit badly at the minute. There may be a team that can be targeted, but you don't want to throw a new manager into all of that. I think Farker's sort of riding out the wave. If we get embarrassed 3 times, I think he's gone. And that might be the direction of travel at the minute. But I think there is one potential route to Leeds United doing something in this game of football, and it's not the most promising. But you know what? You've got to try. You've got to try. And for me, the thing that Leeds United can do in order to make something happen is play a style of football that Farkas sort of avoided recently. A bazooka would potentially do a job, Mark, but I feel like we're not allowed those. No. The route that I personally think Leeds need to take on this one is play that sort of quick-ish style of football again. We've moved away from it a little bit recently, because last season it would be there's a lot of low blocks, we'll try and hit them quickly. If you can't hit them quickly, you'll be a little bit patient. There's only one thing that we can realistically do against Manchester City, and that is try and hit them as hard as we can. And that is as fast as we can. Because if you don't do that, then we are in proper trouble. So, having a look at goal creating actions against, right? Man City have had 17 goal creating actions against them, which is not lots because they don't concede a lot. But of those, they are one of relatively few teams to have lost the ball in a dangerous area, have a transition go against them, and then concede. So, for example, we haven't had that happen to us, neither of Chelsea, West Ham, Burnley, Sunderland, Fulham, Palace, Bournemouth, Newcastle, Everton, or Villa. The other sides are sides that will play the fairly sort of, we're holding the ball high up the pitch game, and our defenders are all high, and all that kind of stuff. And they won't be in a spot to adequately sort of deal with a very, very quick counter-attack, which is where we need to try and do something. In terms of shots they've conceded to the defensive actions, they've conceded 8 shots, which is the most in the league. And if you consider that not that many teams get that many shots against Manchester City, that, for me, feels like the opportunity. And for me, that requires a little bit of a change in the lineup. We know that we don't have Longstaff. Longstaff is out for an extended period. I think it was 4 to 6 weeks, something like that. We know we don't have Anton Stach. He's got a concussion. So the question is, do you turn it into Ampadu, Gruev, Tanaka in that midfield, and you just try and hold as sturdy and solid as you feasibly can? Or do you do something a bit different? Or do you move Aronson inside, make him an 8, because you know he does the sort of buzzing, annoying thing. He doesn't give away too many fouls, to be fair to him. So maybe he could be a reasonable shout at 8, with out on the right flank, the person that I think is ultimately going to be the trick to this, the person that is, I think, going to potentially make a bit of a difference if anyone can. Honestly, Dan James is kind of the guy here. For me, you go, and people are not going to enjoy this, but you go 4-3-3 of some flavour. You go back 4 as normal, because you kind of have to. You don't change the wing-backs because they have been doing a decent enough job. Out of everyone on the pitch, I think they've been the better way to go about it. When it comes to centre-backs, I think you stick with Rodon and you stick with Strauch, because again, Beal, I think, is a little bit too good at losing players. Midfield, Tanaka starts, Ampadu starts. It's up to you whether you think Gruev as that more solid defensive stuff or Aronson as the transitional stuff works better. And then the wings. For me, Dan James has to be that left winger. Because Dan James does the transitional stuff. That's where he is just an expert. And what you can do as well, because what City like to do a lot of the time, is put all of their players in really high aggressive positions. If you just have a winger hovering about 40 yards out, still in his own half, but ready in case you say, right, okay, you've picked up the ball on the edge of your own box, hoof it long, and then suddenly Dan James is able to cause problems. Brilliant. Okafor, not necessarily someone that can do the same, because I don't know whether his pace is quite as good. And I'll be honest, I think having him able to progress the ball in those deep areas is something that's beneficial. But I think that works. I think James out there doing his sort of transitional thing is something that we kind of need to happen. Okafor on the other flank is just another must. Then you come to the 9, and the 9 is a little bit of a confusing one. It's not going to be Pirro, let's be honest. Pirro is best when he arrives late into the box, finishes that way. We don't get the opportunity to do that in this game. We don't hold the ball in their half enough to do the box crashing stuff because of the way that this match is going to go. In addition to that, you've got the issue of Mecha. Mecha, pretty damn good hold-up player. He can finish reasonably well as well. But is there going to be that much hold-up when the ball's going to reach him then yeah, maybe it's a wait for Dan James to go past him job, but you can have Calvert-Lewin do that. Calvert-Lewin so far this season has been very receive the long ball, flick it on, no one's run past him. I think if you've got Dan James running past him, maybe that helps things, and maybe that makes things a little bit of a safer shape, and we can be a little bit more positive about the entire thing. Because at the end of the day, it was transitional stuff that won us the match against City when Stuart Dallas scored. I think that's the sort of style of play that we need for this game of football. I think if we do the same thing that we've been trying to do week in, week out, and that is, yeah, we'll try and take it to them for a bit, but the second half starts, then you just sit. It's not going to work. Because whilst Villa were able to score twice against us, and sure, they didn't get a ton of chances, but they scored 2 goals, City are good enough to get a lot of those chances. A hell of a lot of chances. And that's how you get pulled apart. We cannot let them do that. Because if we do, we're opening the doors to our own defeat, and that is just a shocking idea. And it's an idea I can see us falling into, because that's the way that we work. But it could make things incredibly unpleasant, I think. And then you get to another fairly significant question that is one that you're going to have to answer on the pitch. And that is, if we go ahead, what do we do? Because typically when we go ahead, what we do is, oh, cool, we're leading. Are we trying and keep the lead? Which isn't going to work here. Because as was mentioned by David, with Haaland's being a Leeds fan, let's hope he shows us some mercy. I don't think we get mercy from Erling Haaland. I don't think Erling Haaland is capable of mercy. I think he might not necessarily celebrate, because being a Leeds fan, he's not going to like seeing the club where the club is right now. But he's not going to make things easy for us. When it comes to us consistently losing marked men, if that happens with Haaland, every single time that he gets free, he's going to score. And that's not something that Lucas Perry will be able to deal with. That's not something that a defender on the line is going to be able to deal with. That's just a problem. And if we keep falling to that same issue of we've lost players in the box, or if we keep sitting off when things are very, very obviously in need of a little bit of a tempo change, and we keep doing the reactive bollocks rather than proactive anything, all we're going to do is cause ourselves even more issues. And that is how we lose a game of football. For an idea of how positive I'm feeling on this one, by the way, I have already triple captained Erling Haaland on Fantasy League, because to not do so would be madness, because I feel like things are not going to go especially well for us tomorrow. If they do, then it's a nice little treat, and I've been blessed by the FPL gods, but that's the way that I've had to go with it. Just the fact that things aren't going to be great. It's not going to be a fun match tomorrow. If you are over in Jer's stream on Big Up when I do the little pre-match and halftime chat with him, I'm genuinely going to go into it and say I think we lose 4-0, and that's optimistic. Because they are going to cause us a lot of issues, and I'm not too sure that we can do much about it. On that, Bornau is injured, and honestly, I wouldn't play Bornau anyway, because, to be honest with you, Bornau is a decent player, but it's like people have an issue with buying players for them to sit on the bench. Like, sometimes this needs to happen. You don't just, like, spawn players out of nowhere and it's like, oh, okay, cool, you're the bench player now. No, like, you need to buy them sometimes, and I don't think Bornau is good enough to necessarily start for us at the minute, but yeah. That's my feeling on it. I'll stick around on stream for a little bit more, just for a little bit more of a chat. But how are you guys feeling? Are we optimistic? Are we pessimistic? Are we somewhere in the middle? I personally do not see this one necessarily going too well, but we'll have to find out. I wouldn't mind Nanto starting if we're playing a 4-2-3-1, but I don't think we will. That's why I put Nanto in the thumbnail, come to think of it. But yeah, it's spooky, and hopefully everything ends up sort of okay, maybe. But yeah. not feeling the best for it. And I think the dog is trying to break into the office. Hello, buddy. How are you? Arlo has in fact broken in, which is nice. Let's go for a record. No one wants what's the biggest Premier League defeat 9-0. I don't think it'll be that bad. And the cat's here too. You cheeky buggers. Right. Not highest scoring games. Yeah, the biggest winning margin of Premier League matches has been 9 goals. So hopefully that's not for us. I don't think it will be. But using my FPL free hitting of 3 players in the squad feels treacherous, but hey, I don't think it's that treacherous, to be honest. For the first time in a long time, I'm not that bothered about tomorrow. It's all about waiting for the new bloke. Yeah, I think we've all recognised that the new bloke is coming. Unless we get like 4 or 5 points from the next 3 matches, but it doesn't feel like that's necessarily going to happen. Probably be 5-0 first half. Oh, I wouldn't be surprised. It's not going to be pretty, is all I can say for it, to be completely honest, but we'll have to see how we're going. I just wish things could be a little bit more optimistic right now, you know? Like, I went into this season being like, yeah, we'll be fine, it'll be great. And then it's now when it's like, oh, things are not fine. Things are bad. And we might have to do something about this. And what we do about this, I've got no idea. But I guess we'll have to find out. Yeah, actually, we'll do that before I end the stream. What are the score predictions? Someone pop a score prediction in the chat, and then we'll see roughly where we're going with it. I'm hoping things aren't too horrible, but I don't see things being brilliant for us either, to be completely honest. I do need to make me free transfer on FPL. I'm tempted to bring in a City player. I think Doku is going to be a problem for us. 7. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to jot these down, actually. I'm going to see who is the most accurate. So if we go... Dr. Cox has said 7-0. Top Gear SH said 7-0. Downtown came straight after the match that I gave them the set of no one being relegated with 11 points from 11 games to, I reckon, 5-1. You think we score? I like a bit of optimism, but didn't say which way though. Oh, that's a good point. It's a very good point. James House said 6-1. I'm gonna go for a nice, healthy 5-0. Why not? David has gone with cheeky little 4-0. Yeah, I think we've all sort of acknowledged that we're getting pumped. It's just a question of like the scale at which that happens now. And there's nothing we can do about it. Like this is one where it's just a sort of like suck it up. It's not going to go too well. But hopefully it's not too horrible though. Maybe. Sod it. I'm going to still sell Stack. I'm going to get Doku in. There we go. And then we've got Sly, who says 1-0 Leeds. Which is brave. Definitely brave. We'll go with that. Calgary calling Joe, and I'm dreading this game. They could rip us to bits. Can we ride our luck and counter with James and Nonto and a couple of goals and likely still lose? Yeah, the whole sort of vibe that I've got at the minute is the only way that we get anything is James transitional stuff, potentially Aronson in a more 10-y role to get the ball up the pitch a little bit. Left hand side, probably Okafor. Maybe Nonto as the 10, I don't know. But it's going to have to be a case of if we're going to score goals, we need to do it quickly. And if we don't do it quickly... Paul Smith has gone with 6-1 and Farkas sacked. You see, I don't think we get the sacking after this match. I think there's not enough of a turnaround to Chelsea for the sacking to be after this match. Even if we did somehow fluke a win, is this not feeling very similar to Marsh versus Liverpool and we keep them too long? Honestly, if we fluke a win, I still think we get rid. What do you think formation will be tomorrow with Stack and Longstaff out? I hope a 4-2-3-1. Because whoever your 10 is going to be deeper anyway. But we need someone in possession that likes moving the ball forward. So I personally don't think Nonto does too well centrally. I've not enjoyed it that much. So I think it kind of has to be Aronson. Unless sod it, do Piru or something. I don't know. But I think it's probably, realistically, I think we see a 4-3-3. Danny Ramsey's going 2-0 City. You know what, I'll do a little shout out for whoever gets the correct scoreline as well. Why not? In a way, this might be the least stressful game of the season so far. Zero expected. Oh, I have zero stress going into this game. I'm going into this knowing that it is not going to be pretty. It is going to be a pummeling. And there's nothing that we can do about that. And if we do get something, brilliant. We're lucky, but brilliant. We take it. But I personally don't see it happening. In January, get Perry loaned out. Yeah, that's because you're a lunatic. What? How? Okay, right. Hopefully no Harrison in the squad tomorrow. I don't see how you don't have Harrison in the squad, is the problem. Because with Longstaff and Stack out, that's 2 spots open on the bench. And with Borno out. So you probably need to put Harrison on there. Maybe Gray? I don't know. You could even see one of the 21s on there, which is not strictly what you want, but he's not good enough. Come on. I mean, he is. You are again basing this on a very, very, very small data set. And it's a data set including free kick from 18 yards out, which has gone directly over a wall, so he's had 8 yards of vision to react to a free kick, which, let's be honest, isn't enough. He's never getting anywhere near that. And then the other goal isn't on him either. A lot of people will say, well, it's beating him at his near post. Yeah, if you are purely covering your near post, guess what? You get beaten at the far post. The same proportion of goals going at the near and the far post for every goalkeeper. It's a myth. And it's such a weird sort of persevering myth. I don't understand it. But if anyone hasn't yet got their predictions in, chuck them in the chat. That'd be lovely. We'll see. Doesn't catch the ball, parries it in front of him. Again, this is a coached thing. Players are coached to parry. It's absolutely not worth giving Melier a go. What is going on? I don't know. Anyway, I'm not going to stream for too long because I have been working before the stream and I got a little bit of a cold and I can't be bothered to go for an especially long time. But I'm going to keep trying to do more streams and videos and things, although we will have a little bit of a gap in the coming week because Babby. But yeah. Anyway, if you haven't, I'd massively appreciate you popping a like on the stream. There we go. Got the words out. Subscribe if you haven't yet, become a channel member, all that fun stuff. Hope you all enjoyed, and I will see you later. Toodaloo, amigos.